Good morning, Lagos. Welcome to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. I am Victor Pepple. We have Shokbet Martins as well.
Yes, thank you, Peppo. And yes, I'm Shakma Martins, and joining us for the next half hour, we have got Mr. C. Yes, good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Lagos.
And you can find him on Twitter where you can wish him a good morning. He is at Monsieur C. And we
With
are
a
streaming
triple E.
live with a triple E, yes. And we are streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. Make sure you join the conversation up on that platform. Hello, YouTube. And leave your comments underneath the live stream.
You can also send us a message on WhatsApp. It's 0809 4440981. That is 0809 4440981. On Twitter as well. Use the hashtag freshly pressed 981. On Twitter, it is at smooth981 FM. We've got quite interesting stories for you this morning. Feel free to engage with us on our social media platforms. We'll begin with the This Day newspaper. Right here, we have this one. Clearing agents to shut down ports today, Monday, over 15% levy on imported vehicles. Let's take a peep into the story. The Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents says they will embark on a one-day warning strike today, April 25th, over the introduction of 15% National Automotive Council NAC levy. Alhaji Rilwan Amuni, the task force chairman of the association, said this in a circular obtained by newsmen on Friday here in Lagos. Now, the levy was recently introduced by the Nigeria Customs Service on used imported vehicles, a decision which didn't go down well with the clearing agents in the country's maritime sector. Mr. C, bring us up to speed with this one.
Okay, thank you, Victor. So, first of all, there's a National Automotive Council levy of 15% of the value of the car. Now, this levy is supposed to be administered on new cars, not used cars.
Hmm.
Now, there's a culture of impunity that continues to ravage the land. And in the latest episode or iteration of this culture of impunity, the Nigerian Customs Service decided that it would apply this levy to used cars. Now, we're not aware yet of any basis for the inclusion of used cars in the application of the levy. Now, what is even more disturbing is that the Association of National Licensed Custom Agents say they consulted critical stakeholders, but there's no mention in the story if they approached the Nigerian Customs Service or the Federal Ministry of Finance, which is the ministry that directly supervises the Nigerian Customs Service
Hmm.
concerning this matter. There is always a rush to embark on a strike in this country. Once you feel that things are not being done the right way, you embark on a strike. Now, strikes should be the absolute last option. Did they approach the vice president? Did they even approach the Senate or the House of Reps? So I'm thinking that personally this is quite premature, but knowing the Nigerian Customs Service, until they're directly told not to collect the levy, they will collect this levy. And once collected, we must remember that the money goes straight into the federal government's account. To get it out, you need an
Yeah.
appropriation act.
Hmm.
It needs to be appropriated in a budget. So the customs agents, knowing this, understands that if this levy is to be stopped dead in its tracks, it's not to go the proper and formal route. It's to embark on a strike, draw attention to what is going on, and then the people who supervise the Nigerian Customs Service will then call them to order. And again, it speaks to the quality of coordination or supervision of the Nigerian Customs Service. This was issued by means of a circular. Did the Federal Ministry of Finance not know that this circular had been issued? They did check pursuant to what authority, pursuant to what legislation, pursuant to what directive was this circular issued. So there are a lot of questions that remain unanswered. But given that this is the most direct way they'll get the attention of everyone concerned,
Isn't this a form of revenue generation for the federal government?
yes, it is. But if even if you must generate revenue, you must do so legally.
Hmm. All right.
Next story up for discussion comes in from the Punch newspaper. Imo explosion. Buhari orders clampdown on illegal refineries. Now, this was after the explosion on Friday night of an
There we go
illegal
again.
refinery in Imo State, which he has described as a catastrophe and a national disaster because we saw that no fewer than 100 people were killed. This happened around 8 p.m. after an illegal refinery caught fire. And we also had 6 vehicles raised during the incident, and the community obviously is in mourning, and we are in mourning for the lives that were needlessly lost from this. Mrs. C, please, what is your response to what has happened now, and to the president ordering a clampdown on these illegal refineries, even though it is something that many people and too many people have talked about already.
Okay, so thank you, Shokwe. So first of all, our thoughts, like Shokwe said, go out to the families of the victims and the people who lost their lives in this sad and needless explosion. Having said that, this illegal refinery was known to exist by the community and by the police station in that area.
Mm.
So the security agencies in Imo State cannot claim not to know of the existence of this refinery and other illegal refineries in Imo State. They cannot feign ignorance. It simply does not make any sense. Now, the president's directive, make sure it doesn't happen again. How? Why are there illegal refineries? A number of reasons. One, there's poverty in the land. Two, the people are criminally minded. But above all, there is a lot of money to be made. We must remember these illegal refineries for the crude. They are stealing the crude they refine and they're selling it for almost 100% profit because remember, they're not buying the crude. Their costs will be restricted to the cost of the equipment and logistics. So there is a very huge incentive to continue. Now, Nigeria is losing huge sums of money every day. We're losing at least 250,000 barrels of crude oil every day as we speak.
Now, Mr. C, what I would like to say, because we have identified the issue, right?
Yes.
We've identified the problem, but now the
Solution.
solution. Because if we talk about the sending of security personnel down, or maybe more security personnel down, what would you say to people who say that, well, when they actually view going down to these states where illegal refineries, these areas where illegal refineries operate as a plum job, because it means that they will then be part of the cash flow?
So, Chopper, you're correct. Some members of Nigeria's security forces actually pay to be sent to areas like this. They pay money because the money is like a seed. The harvest will replace the seed multiple folds.
Wow.
Now, for the solutions, you have to get the sponsors of these illegal bunkering, illegal refining, and you have to prosecute them seriously and ensure that they're convicted and not give them ridiculous pardons at the end of the day. Two, you have to manage your crude oil pipelines a lot better. Employ technology, employ drones, make them tamper proof as much as possible. And it's no secret when you have to monitor the areas around pipelines. When you see an unusual gathering of trucks or vessels around pipelines or just off your seashore, you know there's a problem because they are waiting to receive product and they have to improve their intelligence gathering abilities. Until we get serious and we decide enough is enough, we'll continue to analyze stories like this.
All right. All right, quickly, let's jump over to WhatsApp to take some of your comments and reactions to the conversation here. MI from Akoka says, let me help with the interpretation of Nigerian political lingo with constituted critical stakeholders. Is a synonym for we took this decision unilaterally, but will legitimize it by claiming non-existent consensus. On the email blast, Buhari orders again. First, that sounds all shades of 1984. Second, do ministries, departments, and agencies wait for the president's directive before doing their taxpayers funded jobs? All right. Ife sends a message, says, what causes illegal refining of crude oil? Absence of legal refining facilities. It's so simple. The government officials, and regrettably, security agencies are all complicit. Who will save us from this mess? Ife from Igondo. We have this other one here. It's from Damilola. If it doesn't affect the big boys, nothing will change. Yinka Bolu sends a message, says, rest in peace. I'm sorry, you can't rest in peace when you die from illegality. For me, we just reduced numbers of thieves. Ken, quite a number of messages this morning. Ken sends a message, says, Ken is from Surulere, by the way, says, Mr. C, is this country not a scam?
Mm.
Now, the president is giving another marching order to clamp down on those operating illegal refinery in the country. Why are we always reactive instead of being proactive in Nigeria? May God help Nigeria from abracadabra. Okay. On Twitter, by the way, you two can send us a tweet. It's at smooth981fm on Twitter. Henry sends a message. He says, President Buhari and others are twins. All the others without quickly let me check this out. All order without effect is a hollow order. All right, keep them coming through on WhatsApp. It's 0809 4440981. Let's get over to the Punch newspaper now. Lagos reopens Chrisland schools. School to resume today. Now, the Lagos state government had ordered reopening of all Christian schools shut down over controversies that surrounded an immoral act engaged in by some students of the school. This was contained in a press statement by the Lagos State Commissioner for Education, Folashade Adefisayo, made available to the Punch. That's over the weekend. Mr. C, a lot of people are angry that the schools have been reopened. What, barely 1 week after?
Mm. Okay. Victor, thank you. So we must balance what has happened. Yes, some students of Chrisland School were engaged in an immoral act whilst on a trip to Dubai. That is beyond any argument.
Mm,
However, the bigger question here is remove the negligence of the school, remove the negligence of the parents of the children. What happens to the rest of the students who are not guilty? Do you punish the rest because of the indiscretions of some? Now, I'm not condoning or justifying what they did. That is totally reprehensible. And shockingly, I will not be surprised if there are more on sad and unfortunate details about those two children and how they've been possibly molested or assaulted by older people. But that's a conversation for another day. Now, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of students who need to resume school. If you shut down the school and you maintain the argument that, look, no, the school authorities, this is the second case in about 3 years, where do you want them to go? Why would innocent children suffer for the acts of other children when there's no vicarious liability? The offending students should be taken out of the system and counseled, treated, rehabilitated, the full works. But for the innocent students, they have to resume. Now, it's instructive to note that Lagos State is about to issue a revised set of guidelines for public and private schools, and they believe it will be ready within a month. But it's disturbing that this is the second incident involving Chrisland in the space of about 4 or 5 years. And it speaks to the quality of management and supervision there. Now, just a few months ago, it was another college that had also had the same issues. Now, the question is, some people are now naturally worried that what is the quality of care in these perceived private schools? Because they're perceived to be better than the public schools. But the jury is still out on which one is actually better. But the private schools, they need to step up their game. They need to improve the quality of their supervision, the quality of the management of these children whilst they're in their care.
all right, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring more stories your way. Stick around.
That transport case, that transport story. I'm not interested in that.
The high cost in
No, no,
transportation.
no.
So other children will not be okay. I think he means punished. Mr. C, they didn't claim Father Kuka and illegal refineries. Oh, we'll talk about that
Your
in a
next
second.
story.
Yeah. So I'll read the messages
Mhm.
coming in now. There's no need to shut down the school in the first place after the entire school management. Rather, the entire school management should be sacked and must have nothing to do with running, not even a daycare. It's running, not even a daycare. Oh, oh wait, no, we already read that.
No further cooker is a problem, not the incompetence. Right, that's cooker. And you forget that on Walter Carrington Drive, Walter Carrington Drive is a US consulate. Are they saying the ambassador doesn't know what he's doing? Why does America have an ambassador here?
Gentlemen, we're back.
He's a gentleman.
Of the press. There's no lady who say gentlemen of the press.
You didn't add of the press.
No. But you're a
No,
journalist.
no.
You're a
It's
journalist.
all right. Journalists here already. Smooth 98.1, freshly pressed, still on Smooth Breakfast, and we've got your messages coming in. Regarding the last story, Kazim says, I'm glad the Christian school is reopened. The children involved and the situation should be singled out so that other children will not be punished. While Seeing Kabulu says there
No material provided. And it is systematic, it is consistent with the approach. Is there a poor relationship between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria today? Yes, there is. What steps has the Nigerian government taken to address this poor relationship? The answer is somewhere in the air. You're not so you've been given the reason for the delay. You're not addressing the delay. You're not addressing the reason. But you're going on opponents. You're not addressing the reason. Was it your opponents that for the platform? It wasn't your opponents. And then this is a question that you need to think about. About 6 or 8 have been delivered already. What have we done with it?
well, the questions. Maybe you have answers. I'm not going to try. Do keep sending your messages in. We are streaming live on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. And we see messages. Joseph Olofinkoa says, ban and close down seems to be a standard playbook in Nigeria. We need to be smarter when we're dealing with these issues. However, these private schools need better supervision.
All right, let's go over to this story from the New Telegraph. It says SERAP sues Buhari over misappropriation of 6 trillion naira NDDC's fund. Now, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP has dragged the president before Justice Pintanyaka of a federal high court in Abuja over his failure to publish names of those indicted in the alleged misappropriation of over 6 trillion naira in the running of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Mr. C, 6 trillion naira. And yet there were names published, some people indicted, yet we've not seen any action from the presidency.
Okay, thank you, Victor. So the amount is truly shocking, but this is the amount that is officially being let out. Now, between 2000 and 2019, the sum of 6 trillion naira was voted for the Niger Delta Development Commission. Now, for people who are residents in the Niger Delta or people who had reason to visit the Niger Delta, they will agree there will be one unanimous position, which is the level of development that obtains currently in the Niger Delta is not consistent with the level of funding that has been voted. And critical questions have to be asked. Yes, the NDDC by itself is not alone responsible. You also have the governors, you have the state legislators who have questions to answer. Now, beyond all of this, I like what SERAP has done. They've gone to court, but I have a challenge with the first prayer, where they're saying, list out the people indicted. Now, when you list them out, you're literally accusing them of a crime. But under Nigerian law, you are presumed innocent until you're proven guilty. So I'm not sure the first prayer will succeed. The second prayer will succeed. Give them their day in court. Formally charge them with whatever charges you want to level against them. give them their day in court to respond to the charges. And if they're unable to convince the judge that they're innocent of the charges, then they are guilty, then you can publish their names. But this is something we need to do. But again, this is a pre election year. I'm not sure any mileage will come out of this. Because let's face it, some of the people who are likely to be on that list are key political actors. So I don't see anything coming out of this before the election.
All right.
All right. There's a message here on YouTube.
Okay, we have this one in. Biola Olanio says we have NIREC to address interreligious harmony in the country. Okay. All right, thank you for that. And on Constitution Amendment, let's take a look at this article from the Punch. Constitution Amendment suffers delay. State assemblies yet to begin work. Yes, the article going on say that barely a month after the National Assembly transmitted to the 36 state houses of assembly the harmonized amendments to the 1999 Constitution, most states have yet to begin deliberations on the documents. Mr. C, what do you make of this?
So what I make of this, Chopper, is we're still not serious in this country. Almost a month after the proposals were transmitted to all the state houses of assembly, none has started work. And they're all proffering all sorts of ridiculous excuses, from Ramadan to Easter, through Lent. Now, in Cross River State, they have a peculiar situation because the court judgment has sacked most of the members of the House of Assembly and they're trying to appeal their judgment.
Yeah.
So the bigger question is, when will they find time to do it? Because between now and the 3rd of June, they're going to be involved in primaries to throw up the candidates for the next election from state to federal level. So it's almost certain no work will be done before the 2nd week in June. Then they're going to proceed on Easter, no, summer vacation, and resume in September. Then they will try, come September, they are now faced with a budget for 2023. So pray tell, at what time are they going to squeeze out moments to discuss these things? In one of the state houses.
So what does that mean then?
Well, what will then happen is they will simply vote yes or no. Because one of the state houses of assembly did in fact say that, look, they've done the deliberations in Abuja, we can't be bothered. We're just going to say yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, and that's it.
All right, let's look.
They are at work, people. They are at work.
Really? Well, let's look at some of your messages real quickly before we wrap up the conversation today. Fabian from Ekbat says, good morning, all. It would be good to know the reasons Lagos State shut down Christian schools and if anything was achieved before they were opened. I hope these children will have counseling and be better protected. All right. Jose sends a message, says, hi, freshly pressed. Are Muslims and Christians at loggerheads in Nigeria? The answer is no. Don't take isolated cases and generalize them. The likes of Bishop Kuka and some media outlets only help amplify this problem, which mainly exists when politicians want to push an agenda. Gilbert says, on the recent illegal refinery explosion, we need to cast our minds back to October 17th in 1998, when over 500 people perished in pipeline fires in just Delta State from the same vandalized pipeline incident. What lessons have we learned from the 1998 fire incident? Okechukwu sends a message. Mr. CEO is on point. Thank you for that one.
Whilst Timothy says evidence of failure in government continually looking for who to blame and pass the buck to rather than solving the problem or searching for a solution. And what else do we have? Inka Bolu says, hold on. This one that we're asking for the kids to be counseled. What about the parents?
And finally, from
this one comes in with no message,
Mr.
but says
No
that
Name.
regarding Christian schools, all hands must be on deck. Parents, school owners, the authorities must be sincere in playing their roles. There's gross negligence of duty all over the place. All right. Well, hopefully, maybe we'll see what the outcome of the investigation was, or the parts that can be shared with the public. At any rate, that is that for Freshly Pressed. Just like to say a big thank you to Mr. C for joining us for today's episode, and you can find him and connect with him, chat with him across Instagram and Twitter. He is at Monsieur C, and there is a triple E after the C. And we, of course, are at Smooth981 FM on Twitter, and we have been streaming live on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. Make sure you catch the play button or press the play after we have the replay for you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. My name is Victor Pepple.
And I'm Shokma Martins. Coming up, 8:15, The Locker Room.
First,